Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas, and welcome to a Couple of Drips Christmas special. Today we've got with us Mr. Stu Howarth from Coco Digital. He's been a very naughty boy. I hope you've been good boys and girls. Ho, 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 and on with the show.
Grab a cup, settle in, and turn it up. It's time for a couple of drips. Coffee, conversation, and occasional quips. Here's your host, Chris Granger.
Hello and welcome to the Christmas special of A Couple of Drips, coming to you on Christmas Day. Today I have a dear friend of mine and a man with so many interesting stories we might run into 2 episodes. Who knows? If not, we'll definitely have him back later from Coco Digital, who I'll explain who that is in a little bit, or I'm sure he will. Please welcome Mr. Stu Howarth. Hello, Stu.
Hello.
How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Hey, listen, with an intro like that, I hope you're not expecting me to sit on your knee.
Well, in that jumper, I might invite you to, but so we're both resplendent in our Christmas jumpers.
We are.
Purely by coincidence, would you like to describe the jumpers, Stu?
Well, I've got a Star Wars jumper on, and it says, "This is my jolly face." And you've got a Star Wars
I've got a Star Wars jumper on with TIE fighters and all sorts and bits on. So we both accidentally come up with Star Wars.
Indeed,
Christmas
that's what
jumpers
happens when
on.
You have 2 geeks in the room.
Christmas makes you think of Star Wars, doesn't it? Because Disney try and release one every year.
Well, this is it. This is it. I mean, to be fair, I did have a second jumper, which I was even an hour whether to put this one on or whether to put my
what
other
is
jumper.
the reserve?
The reserve, but I'll tell you now, this is one
Come
of
on,
my...
what's on the reserve?
The reserve is just a blue jumper with a big red nose on the front, and it's got like Rudolph with some geek glasses.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Classy.
Yeah. Until it got voted the worst jumper you could ever buy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I still wear it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I've got 2 Christmas jumpers. I've got the Star Wars one, but I've also got one that's got a massive penguin on it. Only my mum bought it, bless her, and I think when she bought it, she thought I was like 45 stone or something, because it's like a 5XL, and it's like you could wear it in bed and 2 of you could get in it. You know, it's an insane thing. So, Stu, first of all, just tell us what you do, because I've mentioned Coco Digital in the intro, but people are probably wondering what the hell that is.
Yeah, so Coco Digital, we are a games app development company based in sunny Stoke.
You see, you let yourself down at the end there. It was going so well until you went Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, we're in the Silicon Valley of Stoke. If there is such a thing. No, so we make games and apps, and been doing it for 14 years now. I started, obviously went through university, went to a big ad agency, loved it, moved from there to another company who we shall not name. Did a year stint there, and then set up Coco Digital with 2 old university friends.
I was going to say, Stoke-on-Trent, they don't tend to call Silicon Valley, do they? Tend to call it Latex Alley instead.
Latex Alley. Hey.
See what I'm getting at there? I think it's the Christmas episode.
Hey, I'm thinking of Christmas. You never brought any mulled wine.
I didn't bring any mulled wine, but we do have a coffee here. So let's try it now. This is really unusual today. Stu has kindly brought this with him. I normally provide the coffee. As you all know, before lockdown, I'm sure I've mentioned I bought 60 quid's worth of coffee for doing the episodes. And then the next day, Boris went, no, we're going into lockdown. So I've had to drink it all on my own.
Oh, it's such a shame,
it's
isn't
terrible.
it?
It's been a bind. So this is, I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to try it in a second, but this is really unusual. This has come from Belgium.
Denmark.
This has come from Denmark. And this is from a company called The Brew Company. And it's the coffee brewer by Growers Cup. We're drinking an organic Guatemalan. What's interesting about this coffee is this is the ideal coffee for camping or for a hotel. Very unusual, not something I would normally buy, but it's a coffee that you brew in the bag. So if I can just describe it, it's like a brown bag with a seal on the top and a pouring nozzle. You open the top of the bag and you pour the hot water into the bag up to a fill mark, a bit like a pot noodle in a bag. And then you leave it 4 to 6 minutes, and then you pour the coffee out. I've never tried this before. I'm about to try this now.
It's basically instant coffee for those who don't like instant coffee.
Yeah. It's real coffee in a bag, and you make the coffee in the bag. So, yeah, for hotels or camping, this would be absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I'm just about to try it.
What do you think?
It's really good, actually. I'm really surprised. I thought it was going to be
acidic, and
I thought it was going to be terrible. I will say there is a little sediment in the bottom of the glass, so it's not filtering everything out. But let me give it another.
It's not bad for something that you literally boil
it's
in
nice.
a bag.
I'm getting a little bit toffee notes, a little bit. That's pretty good. I mean, from a convenience point of view, if you didn't want to take an AeroPress or a V60 or something to a hotel, or coffee bags, which are now catching on rapidly, although I've been buying them for years.
Coffee in a bag?
Coffee in a bag, boys. No one ever thought of that. I've been buying those for years. Yeah. Lions used to make those years ago, but lots of other makes make them now. Taylor's, I think, Taylor's of Harrogate have started making those now.
Well, this particular bag's had your name on it since I had it bought for my birthday in July. You know, we've been meaning to drink this coffee.
We have,
and
considering it's a few months old as well, it's kept very well. That's decent, I have to say. That is decent. I will put a link to a brew company in the episode blurb, so please have a look on Anchor at the episode description. But that was not bad at all, actually. We'll have another sip of that in a bit, but I was quite impressed with that. Thank you for that, Stu.
No problem.
You've had a few of them, haven't you? They've got a few different flavours.
Yeah, so they come from all over the world. I mean, it's a great introduction for people who potentially want to try barista style coffee, but don't have all the equipment. I mean, since we've known each other, you've introduced me to the world of coffee, and now I've got.
I think you bought like a Harrio and a Chemex and a set of scales and a grinder.
Dedicated to it. I mean,
I'm a bit guilty of this. The same happened with Jamie as well, and now Jamie's doing this coffee advent calendar, which we talked about, and he messages me every day with like, "What do you think of this?" And he's got better sense of taste than I have. I listen now and I go, yeah, I totally agree with your flavour notes there, Jamie. He's doing better than me. I'm like dragging my feet with it now. But I mean, I've created a monster.
I must admit, when I do these tasters and everyone says, "Oh, you know, I sense a hint of hazelnut with vanilla and shooting star or whatever," and I'm just like, it just tastes like a nice cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But, but these are fantastic. I mean, it's perfect for me in the camper van. And it was actually, I'd never heard of them either. It was actually my partner who'd bought me this.
Oh, right, okay.
So when I opened it on my birthday and I'd seen this, I was like, how have I not heard of this? And how the hell has she found it? You know, kudos to her for finding it. It's, I think they're fantastic.
So they're just mail order on Tinterweb?
I think so. I'm not sure where she got them from. Whether it was probably Amazon or something, I'm guessing.
I'll put the link up anyway. I'll put the link up to the company, and then you can do your own paper chase, basically, everyone. So you were talking about, going back to the company, Stu, talking about Cocoa Digital and that. What kind of things have you done recently? What sort of... things have you got? In fact, what do you need your late night coffee for? What kind of things have you been working on all night?
I have been doing a lot of late nights lately, working on a massive project for us, for just a little known brand called Pokemon.
Wow.
Yeah. To be honest with you, for us, when they approached us, it was...
I would have sounded impressed quicker then, but I was drinking the coffee and
so was that wow
muted
at me?
My mic.
Was that wow at me?
It was a delayed wow.
No,
that was a wow at Pokemon. Yeah. I mean, how did you land that gig?
Well, they basically approached us back in February, just before lockdown arrived, and we had this brief come through on our desk for a Christmas-winter campaign. Well, it wasn't a Christmas campaign, it was a winter campaign where they wanted a series of games. And so for us, I mean, it was right up my street. You know, I'm a big geek. I know Pokemon quite well, and it's a childhood brand that I was so close to. I mean, I used to collect the cards when I was like 11. You know, I'm showing my age here now, aren't I? So for me, it was a big deal. So it took about 3 months of going through a pitch process to actually get it, and through a lot of labour of hard work from myself and from the guys. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a hard-working team of people behind me. You know, I couldn't do what I do without the people that work behind me.
How many people are in the company?
We're only a small team. There's only 12 of us in total, so we're a small team. You know, but everyone's worked their absolute socks off on this project.
So you'd be properly classed as an indie developer, I guess. Yeah.
Indie developer, I like that. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we've been an indie developer for a while.
But you've won a few awards and stuff. So
well, to be fair, we stopped entering awards simply because once you've entered a few and you've won a few, you suddenly realise that all an awards ceremony actually is for some event company to make a load of money off some food, you know. Don't get me wrong, it's great for kudos.
And I guess the more awards you win, the more trophies there are to dust.
Yeah, and, you know, I mean, you got to bear in mind, when we go to these ceremonies, you know, you're talking £250 a ticket, and that's just for a fancy 3-course meal. But they're usually very good nights, and they usually end up very messy. Especially when you win.
Never asked me to go. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, that's brilliant. So that's a great contract. Who else have you worked for?
So, you know, one of our biggest clients is a.k.a. We also work with Arsenal Football Club.
Blimey.
We do. So a lot of the stuff that we do, whilst some of it's like the a.k.a. it's basically a knowledge app. So it's used by their staff. It's using games to help train staff about the products.
Oh, gamification.
Precisely, yeah. I try not to use the big words because not everyone knows what gamification is. But you know, if you've got a loyalty card in your wallet, then effectively you're being subdued to gamification. Because you are winning points for performing a certain action. That's what a gamification is.
Nice.
But you know, a lot of the things that we do is aimed towards a youth market. Now, over the years, we have, you know, we've worked with the likes of McDonald's. You know, we've worked with Kinder Egg. And so
that's a surprise.
That's a surprise. Boom! Hey. Where's your button? I need to know where that button is so I can press it every time we do one of these.
Don't touch the button. No, that's brilliant. So how did you get into that? Because you were into, shall we say, a slightly darker business beforehand, I believe.
We don't mention that.
I just did.
Oh, do I have to?
Yeah, please lay it on me.
So, yeah, when I was at university, so to help fund my university days, I used to have a little online store called plasticplaymate.com. I shall let everybody...
So, let's go back in time and tell us about that, Stu.
Once upon a time, when I was skint and a poor student, as every student is, I thought to myself, do I work or do I make my own path in life?
Just to interrupt you there, have you watched High Score on Netflix?
I have, yes.
Yes. So what they did at university to make money was they bought games console machines and put them around campus and lived off the money. But you went a very different path.
I did, yes. I decided to sell 12-inch Bobby dildos to the girl next door. I did indeed. And to be fair, you know, back in the day, it actually helped land my first job.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is indeed.
Brilliant. I love that. And I mean, where do you go from there? I mean, that presumably it was lucrative.
Well, it was. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I always remember, because the way I never actually held any of the stock, so I didn't have a garage full of, you know, Bobby dildos in your garage or whatever. But your mum's clearing out your bedroom and she finds the disco deck. And she can't find the off button. But no, basically, it made me quite a bit of money back in the day. You know, I always remember I had a confirmation come through that I'd sold a £5,000 sex doll.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't even realise I sold a £5,000 sex doll because, like I say, I didn't hold the product.
You didn't hold the products.
I was just selling for somebody else. I was like the middleman of the middleman.
Yeah, the £5,000 one is the one with the real,
but that
real
made me,
hair.
That made me £500 in commission. So to have a £500 check come through the post for selling a £5,000 sex doll, I was like, who buys a £5,000 sex doll? Anyway.
That joke I just did is the one with the real hair. Is an old Not the 9 o'clock news joke, actually, where they're in court and they're talking to the judge, and he doesn't know what on earth is a video cassette recorder, and he goes through what on earth is a Walkman, and then they say a £5,000 deluxe sex doll, whatever that is, and the judge says the deluxe one is the model with the real hair.
Well, this one I think was fairly special. It must have been anyway, but either way, I made a commission, and like I say,
nice.
That helped fund myself through university, and yeah, I guess that was the start. People know me as a bit of a Dell boy. You know, I'm always dabbling in this and that, and I always have done since I was a kid. You know, I was doing branding exercise when I was 11 years old. I actually designed a plumber's logo at 11 in Microsoft Paint.
Yeah,
and there's a few key people who I've known in my life that kind of took me, a particular
I must admit that in mind, Stu, if you don't mind, I'm going to cancel the booking that I gave you for cleaning my chandelier, if that's okay.
We wouldn't want it on the floor now, would we?
No, I just if it's all the same, I'm going to get someone else.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. But I mean, like I say, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit since I was a kid. I didn't realise I'd be going into games. Originally, back in school, I always wanted to go into animation. Then I wanted to be a pilot. Then it went back to being an animator. Yeah. And then, so I started university in London studying animation because that was my passion.
Fantastic.
But from there,
What's your favourite animation? Do you like kind of manga, or do you like Warner Brothers, or do you like
I really wanted to get into 3D.
Hanna-Barbera?
I really wanted to do 3D.
Yeah,
I was back in the day. I mean, this is back in 2001. I was proper like into Pixar. So Pixar was like all kind of quite new and fresh. You know,
fantastic.
I think Monsters Inc. was one of the new films out when I was at university. So, it was quite cutting edge at the time, and that was where I really wanted to head. But basically, I moved back from London up to Stoke because my girlfriend at the time split up with me. Yeah. As you do, boop, boop. Where's that button?
What you want you want that ruddy trombone again.
But changed course and did multimedia graphics at Staffs Uni, and that pretty much changed the direction that I went in.
Anything computing, Staffs Uni is fabulous.
Oh, I cannot rate Staffs University high enough. I mean, I know you worked there, but in terms of what I learned, it was fantastic. The lecturer was fantastic, and I couldn't rate it highly enough. And I know, doing what I do now as well, they've actually got one of the best gaming schools in the country.
Incredible.
I think Bournemouth and Staffs are the two best in the country, and I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean they've got an epic game centre. I mean it's just unbelievable.
And some of the work that you see that comes out of there is just fantastic. I can't rate it highly enough. But that changed my direction, and then I started working for an ad agency in Leicester, working on things for LucasAid and WKD. Brilliant. And then left there and decided, I want to do this myself, and took the plunge, paid myself hardly anything. And really, I suppose how most businesses start is through a lot of luck and hard work. And, you do have to have a lot of luck. Those people, obviously hard work counts for a lot. But, but luck is certainly something that you need to have on your side. And to be fair, over the last 14 years, Lady Luck's been on our side an awful lot. And,
brilliant.
But lately, obviously, our work speaks for itself. You don't so much rely on Lady Luck as much. We've worked on some pretty exciting stuff.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, I mean, that would beg the question then. I mean, you obviously been incredibly lucky and had some good breaks work-wise. So, How did we meet?
I think it might have been through a mutual friend who you had on your show not too long ago.
I think it was through Chris Stone. But did we meet? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we met playing Battlefield on PlayStation 4.
That's correct.
Before we met in person, because I seem to think the first time we actually met in person was you threw a little soiree at your house.
That is, yeah, we had a little games night, didn't we?
We did.
Board games night, and I think
you did some amazing food. What can you remember what the food was?
Yes, my Stewie special nachos, if I remember correctly.
I think it was, yeah.
I had to do 2 lots as well because I had to cover for the vegetarians in the party, which is your partner.
Yeah.
I must admit, I do like my nachos.
Yeah, no, they were fantastic. And I've had nachos before and not liked them, but I liked your nachos. So, I mean, that's a good compliment. But that was a great games night. Can you remember what games we played? I know you like your board games.
Yeah, so I think we had a bit of Catan, we had a bit of Cards Against Humanity.
Nice.
We probably
definitely had some Ticket to Ride. I love Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride's my favourite, by the way, guys. So just in case.
Mine's Pandemic.
Well, it is Pandemic, but I've got the limited edition Pandemic sealed in the tin. But I've not actually broken the seal yet. I'm just like pristine in box, you know.
See, now if it was me, I'm very much like you in that sense. I don't like opening things. I have a lot of Lego that I don't open. I like it in the box. So for me, I'd go out and buy another copy of the game, not in their tin, just a copy of the normal board game, so you can keep it in its pristine box, all nice and sealed. Because I couldn't open that. It's a thing of beauty, that game is.
We don't all own our own computer games design companies, do. That's all I'm going to say is we can't all go out and buy 2 copies of everything. I'm tempted though, but what I am tempted to do is you can get painted versions of the figures that are in the special edition. The ones that are in are unpainted, and I might buy the painted figures off eBay and swap them out because, and then sell the unpainted ones. I think because I'm not very good at painting stuff myself.
I always think with Pandemic's one of the best board games ever, and I just think maybe the government. You know, I look at this year, and I swear Boris is just playing a game of Pandemic. Like
totally.
You know, it's like, we need another research
station. It's all become very real at the moment.
It does.
And have you noticed that the 4 viruses that are on Pandemic, one of them just looks like COVID?
It's just too uncanny,
it's like the
isn't
first time it was on TV, I was like, they've nicked the Pandemic logo.
Yeah, it's just one of those games. And, you know, for anybody who's not played Pandemic, you know, a lot of people think board games is player versus player, but Pandemic is one of the
play
best
against the board, games. Don't you? You all play together against the board.
And the board is ruthless.
Yeah.
It's just ruthless. It's like the minute you start having outbreaks, it's like you start off on this like, this is going to be a walk in the park, you know. It literally, this whole year, I think, has played out like a game of Pandemic, you know. You start off and it's all like, nothing's too serious. Nothing's too serious, and it's like, oh crap, something's breaking out in China, and then all of a sudden you're all rallying around trying to get everything, and it's just like, it's one of the most fun games.
It's great because once you get an outbreak, it will spread to the next city and the next city, and then when you've got, I think it's 3 cubes on a city, you can't have any more, so it outbreaks
then it
to the next city.
And I think you have like 6 outbreak markers, so if that happens 6 times, then basically it's game over. The trouble is it happens, then it happens again, and it literally, the way that game is designed to simulate a pandemic, it's just, the only thing it doesn't do is you don't force your pieces to go into lockdown.
No, well, that's true. The Chris was on the last show, and Chris was criticising a new Disney game. I can't remember what it was called now, but he was saying that the problem with this new Disney game is that each character has kind of different rules, and it got really overcomplicated. That happens in Pandemic in the fact that you've got different characters who have different skills and abilities, but it's not really different rules, and it actually adds to the game rather than gets in the way. Like the scientist can do things that the doctor can't, and the dispatcher can move between places quickly, and so on and so forth. So
I agree, but the issue with that is I always forget what my special skill is. So we're running around the board thinking, we can't do it, we can't do this, and then all of a sudden the game's over, and you're thinking,
that's the problem. I could have jumped from there to there.
We could have beat it.
I could have done that in 1 move instead of 8. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's the game. You don't remember it.
I've played the Android app as well. That's very good.
I've not actually played any of the digital versions. You know, as much as I love playing board games, I've never actually played any digital versions of the board game. But I've actually, for my partner's brother, because he's into board games as well. So it's nice to have someone in the family who also has the same passion as me. Yeah. And one of my favourite all-time video games is XCOM.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And they've actually made XCOM into a board game. And that board
that's
game,
interesting.
Yeah, so that board game plays like XCOM, which is a turn-based.
It's a turn-based strategy game.
Yeah. But with this one, you actually have an iPad app, and that's what controls the board. And the iPad just keeps playing. So, do you remember the game Atmosphere? Do you ever remember the VHS?
The video game Atmosphere.
Yeah, where it's like stop, and and then who goes there, and then all of a sudden you'd have to. Obviously, the fact that it was VHS, you only had to play it once, and you knew exactly where everything was going to be because it never randomized.
I've got the DVD version, not of the original Atmosphere, but they did a spin-off called Khufu the Mummy, which is a tomb. It's just like Atmosphere with a DVD, but you're in a mummy. You're in a tomb, I should say. But yeah, that was great because the DVD one at least randomizes a little bit more than the VHS one. But.
I think with this current lockdown, I mean, one thing that it highlights is I think board games are coming into their own again. I mean, they went through a stage of when you had obviously people playing just things like Monopoly, Connect 4. Everyone just thinks that's a board game. Monopoly is not a board game. Monopoly is a game that plays you. You don't play that game. You don't. It's just a game of chance. The whole game is a game of chance.
Yeah, I guess so.
And to be
where
fair,
you land on the first time round and which properties you buy.
It says a lot when the one strategy to win Monopoly is to go to jail. So it kind of if you're in jail, because if you think about it, in the later game, you go. Cause not many people know this, but in the later game, when all the properties are all purchased, right. And obviously, you're all going around, and everyone always thinks it's Mayfair and that. But no, it's the pinks and it's the reds and the yellows. They're the ones, Strand, Pall Mall.
Yeah, the ones in the middle, the Trafalgar Square and
they're
things
the
like
worst.
that. Yeah.
But you think you go around this board, and obviously, each time you go around, you could land on someone's square, and you're going to lose a lot of money. What's the safest way? Just go to jail for 3 turns.
And then you haven't got to pay rent.
You haven't got to pay rent.
But you can still have your income.
Collect your rent, precisely.
Yeah.
So everyone goes, I'm going to get out of jail free card. I'd be like, I'll sell you that.
I have to say the app for Monopoly is very good, as is the app for Ticket to Ride. And the nice thing about the Ticket to Ride app is that you don't have to know your geography as well. Because if you're playing Ticket to Ride on the board, you're like, where is Pennsylvania? Where is Washington? But on the app, of course, it's all there for you. Click on that route and it comes up. But
I love Ticket to Ride. I mean, I've got the main base game, and I've also got. Have you seen the Ticket to Ride London edition?
I've got the 1969 Ticket to Ride London.
I think that might be the same one. It's small. It's basically the one that plays.
It's a mini game.
Yeah, but it's the same game, but obviously you can play it in like 20 minutes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. No, I've got that, and it's got like little minis and stuff. And there's a Ticket to Ride Europe out now as well, and there's the Nordic one with the Christmassy snow maps on.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah, Nordic one. Yeah, it's really nice.
I love anything Nordic. I think I should have been born Scandinavian.
Oh yeah,
I reckon. Oh yeah, that might come across slightly racist. I apologise. But no, I just love Scandinavia.
It's a Christmas episode. We can talk about Scandinavian stuff.
Oh, I love it.
We can have a hooga. We can't this year though, can we? We can't have a hooga.
Yeah. Well, it's like I love it. There's nothing better than a nice hot chocolate. I mean, I do a lovely. I know we're talking about coffee, but and I keep saying to you, we should try one of my special hot chocolates where I have like chili salt in it, and it's like hot chocolate you've never tried in your life.
If you hadn't moved up to Liverpool, I mean...
Oh, I love Liverpool.
But it's a bit far for me to come for a hot chocolate.
Yeah, well, I can always come down, can't I? I mean, I still have folks and friends and everybody who lives in Stoke.
Yeah, no, but I'm holding you to a hot chocolate next time I visit Liverpool. Definitely,
that's definitely on the cards.
Definitely, fantastic. So, how's lockdown been treating you? What have you been doing during lockdown?
Lockdown, it started off like, this is great. I mean, to be fair, from a work point of view, I actually work better this way anyway. I don't like to isolate. I like a big team effort, but I actually feel like I can work better being isolated from people because I'm not getting inundated with, all the little office politics and talk, the chit chat.
Yeah.
So I can just sit down and concentrate. But, so I think actually from a work's perspective, it's really worked. But I think from a personal perspective, I think if you ask my lady what it's like, I think she's ready to kill me. So I don't know. I've enjoyed, no one's enjoyed it. Let's be realistic here. None of us have had a social life. But, what it enables you to do is it enables you to appreciate just the little things in life. And I think that's what some of us need to realise is, you know, we don't always need to be going out, getting drunk with friends and all that. Like, you know, it really, I think if anything, it brings people closer, even though they've never been further apart. So, but with that said, though, I do sometimes feel like I'm a bit of a prisoner in my own home, because obviously I work at home, then I finish, and then the only time I leave the house is to go to the shops, because obviously being in Liverpool, we were tier 3 for a bit. You know, we were one of the we were the original tier 3. You know what I mean?
I think it's very important to have those divisions of a workspace and a leisure space, so that when you finish work, you can close the door on that room and kind of go. Certainly for me, working for the university, because we're working remotely at the moment, is like, although I work from this room, I work from the studio for the university, but then if I've got audio editing or podcast editing or music editing to do, I've got to go out of the room for a few hours and then come back and do it. I can't just switch from work mode to fun mode, because it's just like, if I'm sat in the same space, you need that hour getting away from it to kind of switch off from work mode. Yeah,
well, I mean, to be fair, for me, the weirdest thing, this has only happened recently, is now when I finish work, I almost feel guilty for finishing work. You know, it's almost like I haven't finished work before 8 for probably the last 2 months. And it's not, I mean, yeah, okay, partly might be because we've been really busy with this Pokemon project that we've been working on, but realistically, it's partly because you just lose track and all sense of time. And with now the Dark Nights are in as well, it's almost like you finish work and then it's like, what do I do now? Because you know, I like my Netflix. I like, you know, all my streaming services. I'm not a big person who watches TV. And, you know, and when you go downstairs and you see EastEnders and then Corrie and then Emmerdale, and, you know, I call it slit your wrist TV. It's like, I can't stand it.
I've never been into soaps, I must admit. But
well, you're not missing much, you know. It's like, it's the most sad... you know, I always think, why can't they have a soap whereby at Christmas time, someone's not getting killed? Why? You know, these places must... I'd be like, you know, are you moving? I'm moving to EastEnders. Are you sure about that? You know, it's almost like, I don't know, it just... No, I couldn't do it. It's just so depressing. And it's like, why do you want to... We've had a depressing year. You'd have thought the soaps would have had a nice, happy end to the year, just to perk everyone's life up. And instead, we're...
Here, Grant... Merry Christmas.
That's the one. Get out of my pub. Oh, you know, God bless to the late Babs.
Have a drink on me.
But no, I don't know. It's so I'm not. I hate the soaps, but you know, give me anything that's like Star Wars, Star Trek, or Big Mouth. Have you seen the latest Big Mouth?
Do you know what? I'm only on season 1. I kind of started watching it with Kelly, and then she wasn't massively into it, and so we didn't really carry on watching it. But I understand it is very humorous.
It is very humorous and so wrong on so many levels. It's like you forget that you're watching a cartoon about what is essentially I suppose young teenagers going through puberty in quite risque kind of situations, but it's actually quite cleverly done, because obviously a lot of people, if you actually put it down on paper, you think, this sounds a bit dodgy, you know what I mean? Something for the police to be looking into. But no, I think it's so well done. It is,
from a man who used to sell dildos, that's quite a comment.
But I just think it's so funny. It's just an incredible series, and I just think it's certainly one to binge watch over Christmas if you haven't watched it.
Definitely, and that's something we should do.
Climb to fame, it's your chance to drop a name. Trying to outdo each other's kind of lame. One-upmanship is the only aim. Claim to fame, claim to fame, claim to fame, claim to fame. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's time for Claim to Fame. I'm sure you've got one or two of these, Stu, but you must have a claim to fame, I would have thought.
I've got quite a few claim to fames, you know.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you know.
Settle in, guys. Put your slippers on. Put the kettle on. We're in for the long haul.
Okay. Well, no, I have. I mean, to be fair, I've kind of got a few, I suppose. My first ever claim to fame was when I was a young teenager. And I don't know if you remember Home and Away. And there was a very pretty redhead on there.
We belong together.
That's the one,
Yeah.
And at the time, there was a very, very good-looking redhead on there who is now married to Sacha Baron Cohen, if that's how you pronounce his name. So
It is. I don't know her name, though. Do you know her name?
Isla Fisher.
Isla Fisher.
And this is the most bizarrest claim to fame that I probably have, because I met her in the middle of a Scouts camping field.
Dib, dib, dob, dob.
Which is just up the road from where you live, at Kibbleston Scout Camp.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And what it was is my old neighbour, she was in a little show, and...
you sounded like you were going to sing that then. My old neighbour, she was in the show.
Yeah, and so she was in this show, and she just turned up. Now... I was this young little 16-year-old spotty teenager, and I just went all shy, and I was like, didn't know what to say. But she was lovely.
Nice.
But yeah, I think the funniest one is wrestling Nick Knowles to a free bar.
Oh, you've got to expand on that.
Yeah, so DIY SOS, Mr. Nick Knowles. A lot of my claim to fame that I've had have all come through the business. But this one, we were invited to a launch party for this website, which was at the time was called Zuku. I don't think they're going anymore.
Right.
And essentially, it was some young little rich kid whose mummy and daddy have decided to build a website. And because we were in the gaming market, he decided to invite us.
Right.
So we went to this launch party at the Roundhouse in London. And... it was
great venue.
It was
great venue.
Oh, it was fabulous.
Amazing.
I mean, there's like all the stables and stuff. And
just
it was
been
fantastic.
watching the Nick Mason Saucer Full of Secrets concert filmed at the Roundhouse. Absolutely superb.
Well, we got there and we didn't know what to expect. We just thought it was this launch party. We've been to a few launch parties in the past. And I always remember I was outside rolling a ciggy, as you do,
Yeah.
And this guy with a camera around his neck said, "Oi, shift." And there's all these paparazzi, and I'm like, what's going on here? Anyway, it turns out this guy basically rent a celeb and put this free bar on. And this whole place was packed full of Z-listers. I mean, we had Sophie Ellis Bextor DJing with her fella. I don't know what her fella's name is, out of the... Is it out the... I don't know what band he's out of. But yeah. So they were DJing.
Yeah. I bet it was murder on that dance floor.
Oh!
Thank you very much. It would have been,
We were getting drunk with Noah and the Whale.
Oh, nice.
But the thing is, we had this free bar.
Yeah.
And, we stood there, and this bar was packed. And stood next to me was Nick Knowles. And we were literally shoulder to shoulder trying to get to this free bar.
Brilliant.
And I'm like, just because you're famous, mate. Oi, to the back of the queue,
Oh,
so,
nice.
So, when you get to the bar and you've got the old elbow on the jaw, and you're like, and you're both trying to push it forward. It was one of these. And I'm thinking, listen, mate, just because you're on DIY SOS, you're messing with the wrong guy here, because obviously it's a free bar, so you're going there. But the funniest thing is, the minute the bar finished, all the celebrities disappeared.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, never mind, these celebrities have got all this money.
Celebrities love a freebie. It always amuses me as a musician. When you've made it, you don't have to buy your guitars or your strings because you just get sent them. And yet the people who fund that are the people who can't really afford to buy the stuff.
I know, it's just crazy, isn't it? So it's like that when you watch on TV, isn't it? So have you noticed now, like Family Fortunes, celebrity Family Fortunes, or it's like, every classic Saturday night TV now has the word celebrity in it.
And they do stretch the meaning of the term celebrity somewhat.
They do. I almost feel like it's just a bunch of people polishing their own trophy on stage. It's. I almost feel like what happened to Jim from down the road, who's going to win a speedboat that he'll never use because he's in the most landlocked location in the country.
So well done, Jim. You've won a speedboat. That'll be really useful in Birmingham. Maybe they'll let you on the canals with it.
What always baffled me is these speedboats. It's like, does nobody realise how much they cost to moor? What I mean? I mean, a speedboat, they always say, don't they, how much does it cost to keep a boat? And they always say it's a third of the price of the boat every single year. It almost costs as much to rent to moor a boat as it does to rent a house. So all these people who's like been playing darts in the local, but so that's probably the funniest claim to fame. But one of the most, I think, one of the most recent ones was for Arsenal Football Club. We got invited they got nominated for a really big award. By It was by the BT and the Telegraph.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Technology Sport Awards. Now, we just thought it was like any of our normal awards, but apparently to Arsenal, this was a fairly big deal.
Okay.
So, we gets there, we gets to the hotel, and Chris, one of the other directors, he gets there, and all of a sudden I just see his look drop on his face. I'm like, "What's up, Chris?" And he's like, "I've left my white shirt." Now, bear in mind, it's a black tie dinner.
Yeah.
You've got no other choice but to wear a white shirt. So then you think, we're in London, we're stopping at a hotel in Euston. So I'm thinking, how hard can it be? That's always my favourite. That's my famous saying, by the way. How hard can it be? And so I'm thinking, right, well, I'm all ready. It doesn't take long for me to get ready. So I said to Chris, right, Chris, I'll go get your shirt. It can't be hard to find it. We're in London. It took me an hour to find a bloody place to find a white shirt. In the end, I had to buy it from Pink. And for a plain white shirt, it cost us like £160.
Is that Thomas Pink?
Yes, Thomas Pink.
I love Thomas Pink. Yeah.
But it's a white shirt. It's no different to the one I get from Tesco for a £5. Yeah. And I was like, so straight away we're on the back foot, and we get to this. So we gets the taxi to this place, and it's near Battersea Power Station.
Oh yeah.
And we gets there, and all of a sudden, as soon as we pulled up outside, and there's all these like TV vans and everything there, I'm thinking, yeah, this isn't like any other award ceremony we've been used to. And we gets there, and the whole place is just full of sports stars. So it had Mo Farah was there.
Nice.
It had who's that? I can never think. Chris Eubank. He was there with his son. Oh, honestly, it was painful listening to him talk. No, I don't mean that. Mean that. It just, some of the stuff he comes out with is just, what are you going on about, mate? His poor son on the stage must have been thinking, but anyway, so all this is going on. You have this nice slap-up meal. We didn't win, unfortunately. But, to be nominated, just to be nominated was a big deal.
And to be invited to something of that calibre. Yeah.
But I always remember, I'm walking with this, with a pint. I've got 2 pints in my hand, gone to the bar. And then I'm walking. All of a sudden, I just felt this, and I'm like, what's that? And just literally barged into Nico Rosberg. Now,
nice.
And I didn't realise just how small he was. He's like shoulder height. And bear in mind, now I don't get starstruck. I don't get starstruck at all. But I was stood there in front of probably, because I love racing. And, I race go-karts is one of my hobbies. I absolutely love racing go-karts. Yeah. And so I'm stood there with 2 pints in my hand, literally looking at Nico Rosberg, and I'm stood there and I'm thinking, I just went, "Sorry, mate," and I just carried on. It's one of those moments in your life when you think, why didn't you just get it? And I don't get starstruck because I don't like asking for autographs, because I just think it's invading someone's personal time. Sure. But that's the one time I seriously regret not getting someone's autograph. I just wish I'd have asked him, because he was one of my, in terms of racing, it's Jenson Button and Nico Rosberg, and I was like. Yeah, it's one of my all-time things that I wish I'd have done. But I suppose I know you asked for one claim to fame. There's 3. I've got a few more, but
that's good. Isn't there an Ibiza story or something?
Oh no, you're not talking about my little claim to fame where I was famous.
Let's go with that.
Oh dear. Yeah, when I was on dispatches for being a naughty boy.
Do tell me.
Yeah, okay, so, let me just set the record straight. I wasn't on dispatches for, manhandling old elderly people in a care home or anything like that, So, when I mention dispatches, it sounds
They're
like...
still investigating that one.
Shh, we don't mention that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still out on parole.
All right.
Yeah, so, being in the industry that I was in, and at a time, we've been pretty, I'd say not top of our game. We've been top of our game, We've got a lot of competitors who are very, very talented as well, but we, in terms of what we do, we're quite special, quite specialist. So, there wasn't many of us doing it. So I always remember we had this phone call from a company, and they had a drink that they would like us to promote. It was a new brand that we'd not heard of.
Okay.
And as being a new brand, they wanted us to promote it. I was like, of course, come into our studio. Or would you like us to come to you? Oh, no, we'll come to you because we've been a new brand. They were like, we haven't got studios. And all
okay, so fair enough.
So anyway, we had this date and they came, and I never picked up on it because obviously I'm in sell mode at this point.
Yeah.
And Chris, the director, and he'll tell you afterwards that he there was something off about this meeting, but I didn't read the signs. But he definitely said to us, he says something didn't seem right about that. So anyway,
I think that's the thing about you, Stu, is you you're a very trusting kind of character.
I am, and I'm very trusting, and I always see the positive in things. I think, I'm quite spiritual in that sense. I'm a firm believer of what you put out to the universe will get given to you.
Oh, okay.
So, like, for example, when that Pokemon project came in, I believed I was going to win it.
Yeah.
And we did. And so, if anybody wants to know more about it, just read The Secret. It sounds like a load of mumbo jumbo, but if you actually apply it, if nothing else, it actually helps you through the day. It's a good positive way of thinking, if nothing else, because even if the world's crumbling around you, you just still look at the positive side of things. And that's I'm a very upbeat person, and that's as me and you can hardly ever get a word in edgeways when we're talking, and I send your head west because I'm like I go a million miles an hour, and you're much more like a.
You're always asking me the next question while I'm answering the first one.
Yeah. So anyway, so we had these people come in and. We went through this conversation, and I always remember there was this really bizarre moment in the meeting, and I never had this before, where they said, "Would you like to try the drink?" And we're like, "Well, obviously we're trying to make the sell, so we'll do anything they're asking us, bloody hell." Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, by the way. So I can see that look in your eye. You're like, oh, no, So they put this drink. So we tasted it, and I'm like, yeah, it just tastes like an orange drink. And they had this character called the Orange Beast. The Orange Beast.
The Orange Beast.
Yeah, it'll forever haunt me, that will. They had all the characters and everything. So to the outside world, this felt like a genuine brand.
Right.
And basically, they were a drinks company looking to promote their new drink to children. So we're on sell mode, and we're going along. Yeah. Anyway, push comes to shove, meeting ended, off they went, bye-bye. So a few weeks passed, heard nothing. So we do the usual follow-up, chasing. Yeah. And, they said, oh, yeah, we're still looking into it. We might have a few more questions, blah, 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 fucking whatever.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. Anyway, and then I always remember we had a letter come through. It was a signed for letter. Now, the only letters that we ever sign for are usually NDAs, which we are expecting.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Or invoices, which we're expecting.
Yeah.
Or kind of like a purchase order, which we're also expecting. Yeah. So to have something come through that needed signature that we weren't expecting, it's like, oh, what's this? And we were like excitedly opening, thinking, oh, we know what's this. And it turned out to be Channel 4 saying, yes, Dear Coco Digital. I wish I had the letter in front of me, I could read it, but it went something along the lines of this. Dear Coco Digital, just to make you aware, we have been sent in some undercover journalists to record your practices. Now, obviously, the minute you see undercover journalists, you're thinking, Jesus, what are we doing? And you start scratching your head thinking, when? Who? Why? And so you go through this letter. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they were doing an article about brands using viral marketing, because back in the day it's what we specialised in. So we use games as a way of marketing.
Yeah.
And basically big brands using viral marketing and gaming as a way to promote basically sugary content to kids, which goes against the advertising standards authority code of conduct. Yeah. But in the digital space, it was a bit of a grey area.
Yeah. There wasn't much regulation.
No, exactly. So, and back in the day, viral marketing was taken off like a rocket. This is what kind of propelled us into, because we were one of the early adopters. So it's what propelled us to the stardom. So, so you're reading this, and honestly, I always remember, that scene in Pearl Harbor. Yeah. Where basically is it Roosevelt, and he drops his cup and you see it smash. It felt like your life went in slow motion, and your heart just sinks, and you just think, and your heart sinks thinking, you bastards. What? Yeah. Why?
We're dropped you in it.
Yeah, we're just a little company in Stoke. Why? Yeah, what? Why?
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind, we were working with the likes of Dorling Kindersley doing educational content for children. We were also working with Kinder, but their content was it was educational content. There was no mention of the product or the Kinder eggs in there for that very reason. So anyway, it was just awful, and I remember we were trying to figure out how we're going to get out of this. So so the first thing you do is, I'll ring a lawyer, and then you ring the lawyer, and then they turn around and says, that we can get the transcripts and we can get this pulled, but I will tell you now, it's probably going to cost you 6 figures. And we're like, negative. So you're literally backed into a corner at this point because, you know they're going to run it. So, we thought, well, should we just request the transcripts anyway, just to make their life hard? Because they've basically backed us into a corner. Anyway, and I remember, so this episode went out. It was called Tricks of the Junk Food Industry. I think you can still find it with a bit of Googling on YouTube and stuff. It wasn't just us that were thrown under a bus. There was a couple of other companies also thrown under a bus. And effectively, they showed a few minutes of me talking and Chris talking, like they do. Almost like, when you're watching it felt like, we were like, manhandling people or, we were smuggling some Albanians into the country or something, I mean,
did you even launch the product at that point or were you just...
No, the product's a fake product. It didn't even exist.
It didn't even exist.
The drink they made us drink was Sunny D. I got a good mind to sue them saying I'm allergic to Sunny D.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so you're watching this. And
you were very much tricked into that then.
They were. Well, I'm a talker. Now, bearing in mind, this meeting lasted about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Now, they only managed to get 2 minutes of footage. But the mistake I made is I used the godforsaken word of subliminal marketing.
Yeah.
You can't say that word with... when you're marketing towards children.
Right.
Now, when you're in a pitch mode. Now, I didn't use it in that context. The context I was trying to use it is it almost becomes, well, I suppose it is subliminal, but it's not intentionally subliminal. It's just a way of saying, like, obviously you can do it that way. Well, the very fact that I said that, it was literally, you got the main presenter asking the next person who's like, yes, well, you can. And I'm like, I was just watching this with my hand between my heads thinking, oh, this is just awful. But then, you look on Twitter and you follow all the social, and actually we got a lot of praise, to be honest with you, because a lot of people are like, so what? You went to a small advertising agency and they were just trying to pitch to you? Because obviously you're in pitch mode. You'll say anything to try and make the sale,
Yeah.
Is it down to us to decide whether that drink's sugary or not? And should we be promoting it? But it was a pretty awful time to be going through but that said though, because the hardest thing, it's almost like, it's a weird one. It's almost like finding out you've just got an STD and you got to do that, the bit where you got to ring all your past flings. And it's like, you might want to get checked out. Well, we had to do the same. We had to literally let every client know that we were on dispatches, and when you're working with clients like Dahl and Kindersley, thankfully they all stood by us and they said it's probably harmless. And to be honest with you, it was, in all fairness, it didn't do us any harm in the end, and it was a lot of stress.
I mean, that sounds like entrapment to me, the way that was done. It's like, we're going to come to you with a fake product and try and coerce you into advertising it for us. That sounds like entrapment. It's not like it's not like you were chasing a company that made sugary drinks and went, we can sell those to children for you.
This is it, and this is what a lot of people on the Twitterverse was kind of saying, because they were fully supportive of what we were trying to do. It was certainly fun anyway.
Yeah. So that had nothing to do with Ibiza, because I'm sure you mentioned Ibiza to me.
I've never been to Ibiza.
No, well, I'm obviously imagining that. I'll trade your Ibiza then, and I will see you a Hamburg.
Hamburg, that's the one. Oh gosh, Hamburg. Yeah, one of our many escapades. Yeah, this is am I allowed to tell this? Because it's. Yeah, I might get so. I'm not going to get.
Well, if you, well, I don't know. I mean, if I think you are, I'll chop it out. But I'm intrigued. You've got to tell it now. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah. So basically, many years ago, I'd probably say about 6 or 7 years ago now, we went to a gaming conference called Casual Connect in Hamburg. This is our first international trip, It's just basically a load of indie devs getting together, getting drunk and talking games and how to make more money. So it's like, because, one thing you'll notice about with the indie games industry is, whilst you're all competitors, you're all best friends. It's such a great industry to work in. And anybody who wants to go into the gaming industry, I'd always recommend trying to find an indie developer over your AAA title any day.
Sure.
You'll be more valued.
Yeah.
Anyway. We went to this place in Hamburg. And, and I don't know if you've ever been to Hamburg.
I haven't, unfortunately. No, not Hamburg itself. I've been to Cologne. I've been to Dusseldorf and all sorts of lots of places, but I've the two places I've never made it, and I've always wanted to go are Hamburg and Berlin.
Yeah, well, Berlin's fantastic, whereas
Yeah.
Hamburg, it's quite industrial, and it's not really I certainly wouldn't class Hamburg as a tourist destination per se.
Yeah, very famous, of course, for the Beatles kind of
Yes,
doing
of course,
their
because-
groundwork.
Yeah,
there.
that's exactly where they
Yeah.
basically.
Learnt their trade.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't get the words out then.
Yeah.
So we went to Hamburg, and the event was pretty good. And it was, we had myself, Coco went, and I went with one of my other directors, Chris again. Carl unfortunately didn't make it because he's scared of flying. So he didn't make it. So we went, and we had a couple of other competitors. One that's from Macclesfield, someone from St Albans, someone from Bournemouth. So all of our main competitors were there, and they're all similar sized companies to us. And we were all meeting up, and it was a great networking event. It was really good. And anyway, I think it was on the second night it was. So it was a 3-day conference, and it was the second night. And we all decided to meet up. And we said, should we all meet up for a drink later and just have a bit of a catch up and a bit of a chill? We're like, yeah, okay. So we started off having a coffee, and then we all went back over to our hotels to get ready for this night out. And so we all meet up, and the night was very civilized, drinking nice beers, having a nice civilized conversation. And the night's drawing to a close. Everyone's getting pretty tired. So we went to this little bar, and I always remember this is the point where it all went south. So bear in mind, we're all about to go home at this point. And we're in this bar, and there's a guy. Acoustic night it was, and there's a guy playing on a 12-string.
Nice.
Now I'd never seen this. Is the first. Bear in mind, I didn't even know 12-string guitars existed.
Right.
And now Chris, he's the guy that actually got me into playing the guitar. Chris at work was, and he's the guy who basically taught me the first few chords. And he was the one who told me to get my Yamaha APX 500. So he's there, and we were all feeling a little bit merry. None of us were drunk at this point. We were all just feeling, when you're just feeling like chirpy and just happy.
Sure.
And he went to the guy, and in the middle of Hamburg, and he says, "Oh, do you mind if I play for you?" Now, Chris, he's a fantastic guitarist. He's acoustic, and he does some great tracks. And he's like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." That was it. Then it was the minute he got on that guitar. He just lifted the room. Like,
wow.
It was just, because obviously...
Some people do that. They can just
they do.
own the room,
Bear in mind, because there was obviously myself, and we were all together, all these other competitors, and we're all like, all great friends. And we're all cheering them on. But that was it then, cheering them on. Well, what does that lead to? Jaeger bombs. And Jaeger bombs, a Jaeger bomb for me is the ultimate night destroyer on this planet. If you want to ruin your night, Jaeger bomb it. Because, or if you want to it depends how many you go for. It's just great. So we're having these Jaeger bombs, and then all of a sudden, that was it then. The night, we were just drinking and drinking and drinking. And one of our competitors, he had his clients with him from a very big plastic toy company, which I shall not mention, but let's just say I'm very fond of the brand, and I like to build them.
Okay.
Denmark.
We'll let that one go.
So anyway, they were trying to explain how in Denmark, when you get of an older generation, when you get to these are only mid-20 people, but apparently when you get to there, and if you've not got a girlfriend and you're not settled down, that's it. You don't. They settle down quite young in Denmark.
Yeah. Right.
So it's you're learning about the cultural. So all of a sudden, one of the other guys from one of the other companies goes, "I know what I can do," and he gave him a Viagra. So this guy, right, he's horned up already because he hasn't got a girlfriend, gives him a Viagra. And we're like, well, one, why have you got a Viagra? And two, why have you just given it to this guy's client? So then all of a sudden, we've got these two guys who've just popped these Viagras. And that's it then. We've got these two guys, thinking that they're all horned up and everything. So we're all carried on drinking, and we're going from bar to bar, and there was a string quartet in this other bar, and we're all the night's just starting to get messy. This is about half an hour after, It's only been half an hour in at this point. It's getting messy. Wow. So then all of a sudden, like, these guys like, we need to sort ourselves out. And then one of them says, "We're in Hamburg, mate. You ever heard of the place called the Reaper Barn?" We're like, I've never heard of the Reaper Barn. What's the Reaper Barn? And he's like, "Come on, we'll go to the Reaper Barn." So anyway, have you heard of the Reaper Barn?
I have.
You have. It's an eye opener. So the Reaper Barn.
For those listening, it's not dissimilar to Amsterdam.
It's not, but it's very dissimilar to Amsterdam because Amsterdam is very public. Whereas the Reaper Barn is, you go down an alleyway with 2 steel gates that literally kind of block you in. So it's like this one strip of road. It's about, I'd say about 100 to 200 meters long.
Right, okay.
And at the end of it, when you go to an alleyway at school and you've got those like little bike things, but imagine them as like 12-foot high steel gates. Wow. You've got to go down. So basically you can't see down this. And this is at either end. Yeah. So all of a sudden we'll take the guys to the Reaper Barn. So we gets there and these guys horned up. It was like a window shopper's dream. And they were like, oh, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. So we were walking up and down this Reaper Barn, literally like we were about to pick something from the, for your mum's birthday or something from the window. And, and you see all sorts, you see kind of like your stern Russian looking ones to your ones that look like they've just come out of like plastic surgery. So anyway, all of a sudden, we're walking up and down this red light district. I mean, it's an eye-opener for me. I'd never been to a red light district, but, it's literally, and they're all trying to woo you in. Now, so anyway, these guys, they're walking around. Come on, guys, just decide. When you've walked up and down 3 times and you've seen the same models, you're like, which one do you want to go with? Anyway, they decided that they were going to both scoot on into this establishment of adult entertainment, so we say. So anyway, we got 2 guys from a very well-known toy brand going to a red light establishment. So all of a sudden, we were like, right, okay, well, we're obviously not going to stay in this strip because none of us.
Meanwhile, you're bricking it.
Yeah. So we found. So anyway, we went to the other end of the. At the other. Oh gosh.
You just got that.
I've just got that. I'm just so good at it. I'm just literally flipped in. Oh well, they didn't call me Trigger at school for nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, so we go to the other end. So we find this little bar at the end of the Reaper Barn. It's outside of the Reaper Barn. So we're in there, and I always remember the bar woman, she had one leg, and she's just hopping around this bar serving us beers. And, it was the only place that was open. So we're there, but then all of a sudden it just dawned on us. We've just walked into a Hells Angels bar.
Oh, right.
Right, so we're in this Hells Angels bar. Yeah. And, we're the only foreign people in this Hells Angels bar. Yeah. You've got these really seedy-looking people, obviously talking German in the corner, looking at us thinking, what the fuck are you doing here, like? Mm-hmm. But anyway, they all started talking to us, but they couldn't speak English. We couldn't speak German. So we're having like these kind of like weird sign language thing, like you do. And anyway, this other guy come in with his guitar, and he starts playing and he was playing the harmonica with it, and he was honestly, it was absolutely amazing to watch. Now, bear in mind, we're
Hamburg for music is incredible.
Well, I'd never been, and you're right, it really is. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to go there as like a pilgrimage for music, just to try some of the music venues that are there, because it does seem like a mecca for that. It's a bit of a.
Well, you're not there for very long.
No, we're only there for 3 days, and it was literally, it was like we were there for the gaming conference. So we so in this Hell's Angel bar, and again, my mate pissed out of his face at this point. He goes up to this guy, he's like, "Oh, can I play guitar?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "Come on, mate, he's really good." We're trying to encourage. He's thinking, "Who are these Brits trying to take my guitar?" Anyway, the guy eventually backed down, and he passed my mate the guitar. And as he passed it, he slowly leant into. I'm thinking, "What the fuck's going on here?" Like, he slowly leant into. Goes, "You break it, I fucking kill you." And that was it. I was like, bear in mind, I'm at this point thinking, please don't break it, please don't break it, please don't break it. So anyway, he starts playing. Anyway, an hour had passed at this point, and he's thinking, right, well, do these ladies charge by the hour? Do they charge per action? So what's going on? So at this point, one of the guys who just sent his clients, they're his clients, into this red light establishment, starts freaking out. He's like, I need to find him. Anyway, so I said, let's go back down, because we're on the end of the Reaper Barn. So we're walking up and down this Reaper Barn trying to find these guys from this toy store brand, whatever. Yeah. Can I just say it? They're from Lego, right? They shouldn't. I was going to say it because this is proven too difficult. So we lost them, and this guy's absolutely freaking out at this point. So we're sat there, and all of a sudden, one of them turns up. Honestly, his smile literally spread from door to door. It was like, he was grinning like a Cheshire cat. Oh. And we said, did you have fun? And he was going into description saying, I went in there, I gave her €50. She does this, she does this. She says, you want more? You give me more money. So I gave her more money and all this lot. And in the end, this guy must have spent about €250 with this one person.
Wow.
But the other guy hadn't turned up. He's still missing in action. Yeah. In the end, about 3 hours had passed, and we just called it a day. They just called it a day and just disappeared. And I remember at 5 o'clock in the morning, being in McDonald's, ordering a burger. About to go to bed, to wake up at 9 to go to this conference. Anyway, we get to this conference. We ask this guy, "What happened to you last night? You missed it." And he says, "Oh, he says, I got in there." He says, and this, God forbid, I feel so sorry for him. He says, "So I spend all my money," and he's like, "I run out of money," and I'm like, I need more money. And then he turns around and he says, "So I gave her my card and my PIN number." And we were like, oh my God. And then you could just see the colour on his face is drained at this point. And I think he was just like head in shame, because I think they just rinsed him, completely rinsed him. Because there's no way you're going to go home to the missus.
He must have been in pieces.
Oh. Oh yeah, so
wow,
that was quite a story. But do you know what the funniest thing was? I remember getting home, and it was the first thing I told my partner at the time. You just think to yourself, what am I doing? I am literally telling my partner that I went to a red light district, but because it sounds so unbelievable, it was believable.
Yeah, absolutely. I know exactly what you mean.
There are literally billions and billions of podcasts out there. So the chances of finding intelligent life amongst them are so infinitesimally small as to not even be worth looking. Could you then have stumbled onto the one podcast where intelligent life could exist? No, you haven't.
So talking of Lego, Stu, I believe you're a bit of a Lego enthusiast, aren't you?
I am what is known in the Lego world as an AFOL.
Adult fan of Lego.
Adult fan of Lego. That
there
is
we go.
Correct, yes.
I saw a Channel 4 documentary about that.
Really?
Yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Please do, because I don't think I've recall seeing that.
It's 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely love Lego. It was one of my favourite toys as a kid. And I always remember, I used to sit for hours, and I just... Yeah, one of my most fondest memories are when I could just play with my Lego. And it's one of those toys that you just never grow old of. And it's one of those toys that keeps me... Because I am a big geek, just like yourself. We're both geeks, We like our tech, we like our games, we like our geeky stuff. Yeah. And Lego just happens to be one of those geek things I like. And I have spent probably too much money on Lego. And
what's the biggest thing you've built so far?
Built or bought?
Okay, both.
Okay. So the biggest thing I've built, I'd probably say, is the Disney Castle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Impressive.
But the biggest thing I've bought is the Millennium Falcon USC edition.
Nice.
Yeah. I tend to.
You got the Death Star as well?
No, I haven't got the Death Star.
Right.
I'm not. I mean, I always call it. I like to call it plastic gold. That's how I justify it to the partner.
Yeah.
Why are you spending all that money on Lego?
Because they're serious money. Some of the bigger kits.
They do, and they hold the value. And that's the thing. I always think to myself, it's one of those. I always think to myself, it's always better to prepare for a rainy day. And for me, some people see it as, oh, you're just wasting money. And I'm like, no, because Lego never really, only the crappy sets depreciate, but usually it holds its value. And in some instances can appreciate,
Especially things like the Star Wars stuff, because they're limited runs as well.
And the Lego Ideas stuff, like, there's the, for example, the DeLorean, the Back to the Future DeLorean. Yeah. It was a £44 set. If you've got a brand new one still sealed in the box, you're talking £150 for. So it's, this set's only like 5 years old.
I like them. I've not got as ambitious as you, but I'm like, for Christmas, I've got the lunar lander, the lunar module to things like that.
That's a fabulous build. It's such a good build, and the little Neil Armstrong and everything.
Nice.
It's the little attention to details like the footprints.
You got the Ghostbusters house, the fire station.
I did. I wish that I got more, because back in the day when Toys R Us was going into administration, they had 30% off everything, and they had like 3 copies of the Lego Firehouse, and rather than being £270, it was reduced to £190, and now I think they retail for about 500. So yes, but the one set that I always wish I had was my old Barracuda set. Now they have remade it with the Barracuda Bay, but it's just not the same, is it? You can't beat the original. And it's one set that I do wish I had. But I do like my Lego.
Nice.
But I tend to find that if you saw it, most of it's still in the box.
Yeah. Were you were planning to do YouTube channel building them, weren't you, at some point?
Yeah, I was. But then you suddenly realise just how much time it takes to do YouTube channels. And I don't have time to build Lego. I don't have time to play games.
Editing a podcast is time consuming enough, let alone if I had to do video as well.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't do video.
No, I understand. You know, it's one of those. I have too many hobbies as it is, and people who know me just know that I just do. I tend to. When I get into something, I go all out. That's the trouble. I go all out with it. You know, I don't like if for example, you know, like with this setup you've got here with this fabulous studio. I mean, and it is a fabulous studio, but you've treated the studio exactly the way I would. You've got to have all the equipment. You can't go in half-handed.
No,
it's got to be everything. You know,
absolutely, definitely. So, what are you doing over Christmas then, Stu? Have you got many plans?
I'll be honest, I've not got any huge plans. I mean, most important thing is I get to see my son, you know.
Lovely.
Who's also massively into Lego, might I
Nice.
say.
How old is he?
He's 5.
So,
He's 5.
good Lego age?
Proper Lego age. You know, we sometimes forget as adults that Lego's designed for kids. You know.
Well, it's wasted on kids, isn't it, really? Yeah, but he's at that age now where he's just building stuff with your help, I suppose, and as he gets the next few years, he'll be building stuff on his own from the manual.
It all wrong. He built
really?
Yeah, he builds everything himself. You know, he's just built the Elf House. Now it's an expert set, which is designed for 16+, and he's built it all by himself.
Wow,
he's
impressive.
phenomenal. There are a few times when you've got to give him a little helping, but he can just sit there for hours, and he's got all the Harry Potter sets and all the big sets and everything.
Oh, nice.
He loves his Harry Potter, but he is literally. He's literally a mini-me. You know, he's fantastic. And I bought him a Switch for Christmas last year, and he's only just recently started really playing it.
Yeah.
And he loves Minecraft now.
Oh, of course.
Minecraft's it's a great game for kids. I don't mind him playing it because the way I see it is it's sparking his imagination.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though I say sparking his way of sparking imagination is planting as much TNT to blow up as many buildings as he can. I'm thinking, let's not let ISIS hear anything about that. Do you know what I mean? They'll be signing him up thinking, he's ripe for conditioning.
Yeah. Well, I remember one of my favourite Minecraft videos is where there's like a 50-story high building, and it spawns hundreds of people on the top of it, and they all end up falling off.
Oh, no. But that's the thing, you know. That's the good thing.
I think it's like a fire pit at the bottom of it.
You gotta love. I mean, I love games where they encourage UGC, which is user generated content. For those who don't know what that means, because I think that's where a game truly becomes, you know, because when you hand it over to the users to basically hear the tools, do what you will.
Yeah, like Super Mario Maker.
And you know what? That's one game I've never bought or played.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And I'm a massive Mario fan. In fact, actually, that leads me quite nicely onto, and I've got a little something for you.
Oh, well, it is the Christmas
episode. A little surprise. With it being the festive special, I thought, now, you know me, I'm a sucker for tradition, right? So normally I'd be like, do not open this until the 25th, please. Yeah. But in this instance, I'm going to let it pass. So I've got a little bag of
Stu, I should tell the listeners, Stu is now whipping his large sack out.
Oh, I've always got a large sack for you, Chris. So, Chris, I've left the price on the bag.
It's got a stripy bag. He's left the price on the bag.
I've got you 2
but
little
I'll let you off.
here.
Oh, that's very kind.
So, I'll let you open this now if you want.
Thank you very much.
Seeing it's the festive special.
This is very nice.
So the hardest thing for you, Chris, is you think to yourself, what do you buy someone who loves games and who loves coffee?
Yeah. Well, let's have a look. I'm diving in the bag. It's a bottle-shaped bag. I'll just describe it for you. Oh, that's really cute. If I can get it out of the bag. So the present number 1 out of the bottle-shaped bag is a Super Mario pen with a cube cube topper on the top. I will put photos of these in the episode description.
So
actually.
The reason behind that one is, you know, I know that obviously you like making notes and everything.
I do. I make lots of notes.
I also know that you love Mario.
I do. So that's very
good.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
No problem.
That's very nice. I'm still in the bottle bag. There's something else in here. Oh, that is really nice. Okay, this is a Mario Power-Up water bottle.
It also accepts hot liquid.
Oh, that's
It's a
really nice.
flask.
I will be putting coffee. That is really nice. So it's got like a power-up mushroom in the middle, and then it's got cubes and bricks around the top and bottom. Again, I will put a
Well, I
put
know
a
you like
picture in
to.
the description.
I know you
That's
catch the
very
train to
nice.
work, and I thought,
Oh.
well, what better way then when you're feeling a bit down than to have a little power up of coffee in the morning?
That's very nice. So I
And-
will use that for coffee because it says power-up.
And then
on it.
this one, which was a bit to wrap.
It's actually impressively because that was in like a bottle bag. This is in wrapping paper, but the wrapping paper, there's a sticker there. The wrapping paper does match the stripy bottle bag, which I'm quite impressed with.
I'm actually quite a sucker for tradition when it comes to Christmas. I love Christmas. You know, when I see these people who love
So you
Christmas.
you want to you go to a lot of trouble with the wrapping. So
I do. I love it. Oh, that sounds so appealing.
tearing the wrapping off, quite satisfying.
But you mentioned the wrapping paper, and one of my things with tradition, every year I have red and white striped wrapping paper.
Oh, okay.
I've always I don't know what it is.
Some barbershop thing? Or?
I don't know. I've done it for the last 8 years. I've always had the same wrapping paper, and
Nice.
that's one of the traditions.
Oh.
Everyone knows what gifts I've got them because of the wrapping paper. It's coming.
That is really nice. Okay, I have to tell the listeners here, this is a pyramid of coffee syrups. Oh,
Now I know.
bring on the latte.
Yeah, well, I know that you, especially
Coffee, hazelnut, gingerbread, cinnamon, and vanilla.
Well, I know
really
with coffee, you're not usually one to put things in your coffee.
No, I'm not. And it's got a rather nice bronze snowflake.
Bauble thing.
What do you call it? It's for for your sprinkles.
Oh, is that
With
what that's for?
That's what that's for. Yeah,
Oh,
for your
fantastic!
sprinkles, so you can do
I thought it
a
was a Christmas
snowflake
decoration.
sprinkles on the top.
I honestly thought that was
Well,
a
I may
Christmas
use it as a
decoration.
Christmas decoration, but I'm more likely
You
to
can't
use
use
it
that
for
as a Christmas
sprinkling
decoration.
my.
I've seen your tree. That is pathetic. You deserve to go to Christmas prison for that.
What's
that
wrong with my tree?
It's about 5 centimeters big. And
It's a wooden German desk ornament. Basically, that's my tree.
it's about as much effort as you literally pulled it out of the bag and put it on your desk.
No, I didn't. I literally gave it to Kelly, and Kelly
So you
put
haven't
it
even done
together. I
yourself?
didn't even put it together
Oh my
myself.
God. Honestly, honestly, like I said, Christmas for me is all about tradition, Chris. Right?
Yeah.
You need to embrace. Now, it might be the fact that I've always been the same, even before.
Can I just say, Stu, I've had that tree for about 7 years, so
Yeah, and I've seen
that
it
is
on your-
tradition.
I've seen it
That
on
is
your-
tradition.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I can't argue with that. That is now tradition in your eyes. I'm going to tell you now, it's taken me 3 weeks to put my Christmas decorations up. Honestly.
Brilliant.
So we started 3 weeks ago.
Day 17.
Oh.
The Christmas decorations are still going up.
Oh, still
I
going.
don't know
up.
what accent that is.
I've got 3 Christmas trees. I would
Wow.
have 4. I would have 4, but I've been banned from putting the 4th one up because apparently we've got too many. But the thing is, for me, I mean, you know, between me and my partner, we've got 4 children between us. So
Right, okay.
I think when you have kids,
Yeah, definitely.
it's a little bit
definitely.
different. But I think even when the kids are gone, I'd
Yeah.
still be the same. So
The other thing is that I actually go to mum and dad's over Christmas, so I don't spend during Christmas. I'm not actually here. So, but if you've used the bathroom today, you'll notice that there's snowman and snow dog toilet paper. So, I mean,
so at least you made some effort.
I made some.
I don't go that far.
No, Kelly bought that as well, actually.
Kudos to Kelly then.
Yeah, she's. But I mean, I love Christmas. I absolutely adore Christmas. I mean, when we first met, Kelly used to call me Kris Kringle. You know, that was what I was down as in her phone. But it's not so much fun in May.
No.
You know. But I love Trisha. But my mum goes to so much trouble with the decorations, and it always looks amazing. That I'm
Well-
like, because I'm not in the flat over Christmas itself.
Well,
I'm
this
sort of
this
a
is
bit like.
well, this is this year for me. It's the first year me and my partner moved in at the beginning. Well, just literally as lockdown happened this year. So this is our first Christmas properly together in our own home. You know, we used to live apart over the last couple of Christmases. So this year I was like thinking, oh shit, she's going to start fucking about. She's going to have me having tinsel and, you know, like I say, I like it to be traditional, you know, and going back to being Nordic, I have a very Nordic feel. Now, last year, because I had like a tree that was basically leafless. It was just a twig tree with all lights on, and I had like all these lovely red and white things. Yeah. And she came around last year. She goes, "Is that your Christmas tree?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like that. I love it." And she's like, "It looks dead." I'm like, it's the style. It's Nordic.
Yeah.
You've got a child, she says. You can't have them. I'm thinking that's Christmas and what it's all about. She had me go out and buy a new bleeding Christmas tree. 100 quid I had to pay for this frigging thing. Right? So anyway, and no, in all fairness, I bought this lovely like fir tree that's all snow and everything. And it gets everywhere and all that jazz. Nice. And put all my decorations on. It was fantastic. But, you know, obviously this year, well, we had her Christmas decorations and we had my Christmas decorations. And it was like, which Christmas decorations are we going to use? And I'm thinking, you know, I like mine. But last year we did actually buy all new Christmas decorations for her tree last year. So we've actually met in the middle. It's my tree with her Christmas decorations on it.
Oh, okay.
And it looks,
sounds good.
honestly, it looks absolutely spectacular.
Nice.
I'm really pleased with it. And the kids love it. And they, you know, I'll be honest with you, the kids put about 2 baubles on and they're like, oh, Dad, can we play on the Switch now? And it's like, yeah, go on then. Yeah. Leave it to me. But it's outside that I've really
kids like putting 1 or 2 decorations on and then seeing the finished product.
They do, yeah. But the thing is, if you ever watch a kid when they put the decorations on, it's on that one, and it's on the same branch again, and then others, and then you got about 3 baubles on the same branch. You're like, they don't quite grasp the whole spreading it out, but you just have to move it around a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, do you have any other Christmas traditions, things that you do at Christmas? Particular games you play or anything?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, my Christmas, I pick up my son on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So that's my Christmas Eve. So we celebrate Christmas Eve on Christmas Day. Right. Well, I do anyway. Obviously, I have 2 Christmases essentially. Yeah. Yay me. So when I pick up my lad, we have Christmas Eve on Christmas Day, and then we have Christmas Day on Boxing Day. Now, obviously, my partner's children, they have Christmas Day on their normal Christmas Day. Yeah, sure. The good thing is they also benefit from a second Christmas Day because I can't have Flynn opening all his presents when you've got children sitting there watching.
Sure.
So, you know, and the trouble is, I don't know when to stop. No. I get so excited. And then before I know it, this year, I've got super organised. I've got a Google sheet with all the prices, and I'm like,
nice.
Shit.
Wow.
But then you're like, that's enough. And then you'll go to the shopping and be like, oh, that's so nice. Oh, it's only 2 quid. Or it's only this. Or it's, you know. And then before you know it, by the time you add it to your list, it's like, have I really spent that much, you know?
But soon adds up.
It does. But for me, I mean, I always try to give into like charity. So if I ever see anyone homeless, you know, I always like to give to them, like, you know, and I don't always give money. I like to like buy them a hot cup of coffee. I think coffee is one of the best things you can give to someone because, especially in the cold, if they're homeless, get them a coffee, get them something to eat, and if you can spare a bit of change, spare a bit of change. But I do like to give to the food bank, and you know, it's one of those. I always feel most generous at Christmas because I always think, you know, there's poor people out there that you know who haven't got a pot to piss in, you know, really haven't, but yet they could be just as happy as person who's got £1 million in the bank, you know. And that's the way I see it.
Especially this year with lockdown and that, and so particularly self-employed people or people with their own businesses and stuff. Exactly. It's been very, very
I want to know what
difficult.
I want to know what Christmas ever did to the cancel culture. You know what I mean? Everyone's saying Christmas is cancelled. It's like, what did Christmas do? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, looking through the newspaper, like, you know, what kind of scandal has Christmas done? You know, but
I've really missed a number of things this year because we got a number of Christmas traditions. The first one sort of starts in November, which is me and my mum go to the Good Food Show and we get loads of stuff in for Christmas. That was cancelled. Yep. Then we go to the Stone Christmas lights switch on.
That's always fabulous, isn't it?
It's always brilliant, but it was just done online this year, obviously for obvious reasons. Then we go to the Stone Christmas Farmers Market, which is always fantastic, but I didn't go this year because apparently it was quite busy and I didn't fancy kind of bustling through loads of people.
Social distancing.
Social distancing, exactly, yeah. So they had the farmers market and the Christmas market one day and apparently it was quite busy down there, so I thought maybe not. But then Christmas itself, we've got 2 or 3 traditions that have changed over the year. Boxing Day, we used to go to the theatre every year. So we used to go and see musical theatre every year. And then more recently, what we've started doing on Boxing Day is Stratford-upon-Avon. They do a riverboat trip with a 3-course meal on the riverboat.
Wow, that sounds...
And we did that last year. It was absolutely fabulous. We did it in the summer for my mum's 70th birthday, and then we did it at Christmas.
Your mum's never 70.
I know.
She doesn't look over 50.
I know. They said that about my mum and dad. They don't look their age.
Wow.
So,
no, that shocked me. I didn't realise she was 70. That's impressive.
She's probably... I'll get her age wrong now, so I won't even speculate. She's couple of years older now, I think. But anyway,
well, the main traditions I do is we tend to have, like, on the 1st of December, we get all our Christmas pyjamas. You know, got to have a good Christmas pyjama.
ooh, what do you favour with the Christmas pyjama?
Well, it's one of those. It's not really for me. It's more for the kids more than anything else. You know, I'm more attuned with a Christmas jumper. That'll do me. You know, I don't take it that serious.
Okay.
Where you knock on my door and I'm all like,
I'd wear Christmas pyjamas.
no, I would. But then it's just like, you know, you feel a bit of a fool in the middle of summer wearing your Christmas Grinch pyjamas
Because they're the only ones that are clean.
They're the only ones that are clean. But no, I mean, yeah. So you know, you tend to do that. You know, obviously, there's the naughty elves. You know, they're a pain in the pissing arse because you know you're trying to come up with 25 different, unique, funny ideas. But this year we decided if the kids are naughty, the elves don't visit. So you know,
oh right, okay.
so that actually works quite well because you know when they've been naughty, they don't go to visit for a week because they just they play up as they do. But but that's one of the ones. But one thing we always do is Santa Steam, which unfortunately this year was again cancelled. Which is just one of the most. It just feels so festive, you know.
Where's that at?
So I usually go to the what's it called?
Is it Froggle?
The Froggle Cheddleton.
Yeah. We used to go to because I grew up kind of between Stafford and Telford.
Yeah.
Little village called Wheatnest, and we used to go to the Severn Valley Railway one at Kidderminster.
Yes,
I think it was Bridge North to Kidderminster or something like that, and used to go there, and it was you could have a present from Santa or you could have mince pie and a glass of mulled wine. So
let me think about that. A present from Santa. Well, I suppose if you're an adult or
it was basically, but it didn't matter if you were an adult, you could go and see Santa. But I went for the mulled wine and the mince pie.
I mean, this is at the Churnet Valley. That's just come to me now. It was the Churnet Valley. Anyway. And basically, I mean, it's just such a nice. You know, you're in there for an hour, and you have mince pie. You get a carol, and the carol, and then everyone's singing carols, and I'm always there singing. My lady's like, well, you know, she gets a bit embarrassed by me because I can, you know, I'm just not. I've got no shame. You know, I'm quite extrovert in that sense. You know, I don't care if people are looking at me. I'll just do whatever. But that was such a shame because I usually take him on Christmas Eve because I don't have my son on Christmas Eve. My Christmas Eve, like I say, is always Christmas Day. So we have that, but it's my nan's birthday on Boxing Day, and usually we have a big family get together on Boxing Day. You know? So me, my dad, my brothers and sisters, all my cousins and my aunties, we all get together to celebrate. You know, basically get together to celebrate Christmas, but also to celebrate my nan's birthday.
Fantastic.
On Boxing Day. And we plan it. We usually plan it from March, and we get the hall booked. But this year, obviously, you know, it had to be cancelled because you know she's of an age where I wouldn't even like to guess how old she is, but I know she's old. But it's one of those. It's just too risky, obviously.
Sure.
You know, despite of what everyone says, you know, tier this, tier that.
You've got to be careful. There's a lot of people not being careful.
Well, to be fair, you know,
you had it, didn't you? You came back from.
I got the Rona.
You got the Rona.
I got the Rona.
You came back from Croatia, was it?
Croatia with the Rona.
Got it on the plane.
I don't know where I got it from. All I know is, and I can tell you the exact date because it was bank holiday. It was the bank holiday Monday. I came down with a fever, so I thought, oh, great. So booked a test, and got the positive result back about 4 days later. This was back in the day when they were trying to get 24 hours but couldn't. And I got the Rona. By the time they told me that I had the Rona, I was already out of my isolation period for having the Rona. That's how long it took. You know what I mean? It was Matt Hancock. You know, clap away. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've had the flu worse, but obviously there are a lot of people suffering from it. So you know, it's not really something you can.
It's one of those things that if you haven't got any pre-existing conditions, you'll probably be all right. Some people don't even get symptoms. If you've already got something like COPD or some kind of lung problems, you're going to be in a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's been very hard for a lot of people. I know people who have lost grandparents and things like that. Yeah. And, you know, but the way I see it, going back to kind of like putting it out to the universe, is I always feel like have a positive outlook on life, you know. there's always a positive in everything. In every negative, there's a positive. It's a guarantee. Opposites attract. For every negative, there's a positive. And the way I see it is just always try and have a positive outlook on life. Regardless. And that's the best way to get through things. If you can have a positive outlook on life, positive things will start happening.
Have a positive outlook. Build lots of Lego.
Build lots of Lego, and sell dildos.
And don't. The thing is, as well, is like. You hear this thing about retaining your inner child, and I definitely done that. I'm quite happy to do the hobbies that I did when I was a kid. I don't think there's some people go, oh, you're playing with Lego when you're
screw them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Screw them.
I nearly gave my age away then. I thought, no, I'm not.
Well, I don't care what people think. I really don't care. I've got loads of. I buy toys.
So, some people do have retain that inner child, though, don't they?
I think you've got to. It's that inner child should live in everybody.
I've got friends who go. I've got a friend who said, and I quote, a couple of years ago, he said, "I'm 47. I'm too old to learn a new skill or something." Wow. And I'm like, wow, I've got my friend Tony, as you know, and we've all performed together with Tony.
Yes.
Tony didn't start songwriting until he was 60.
Well, look at Morgan Freeman.
Learned to play the bass at 55.
Look at Morgan Freeman. Wasn't he in his 50s by the time he got spotted?
Yeah.
And now he's like probably, Hollywood icon. You know what I mean?
If you think you're too old to learn a new skill, you're just preparing to die. Then that's all you're doing is you're going, oh, I'm not going to take up anything new because it's not worth it. Because if I'd done it when I was in my 20s, where we're all living to be so much older now, and it's never. And then you get to retirement age and you've got no hobbies.
Your mind's the biggest muscle that you should always work out. Everyone always thinks that you should work out your abs, your biceps, your legs, whatever. No, I'm a slim frame. I don't know how people get big. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to bulk up. I think it's just being ginger.
Just eat and sit on the sofa quite a lot. It's not that hard, Stu. I can coach you in it.
Oh, no, I'm talking about being fat. I'm all about trying to build muscle here.
Build muscle. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm supposed to be ginger. I'm supposed to have Viking blood.
Yeah, no. I've got an 18-pack, mate.
But no, I've gone the opposite direction with this lockdown. Everyone's putting weight on. I've lost 2 stone. Wow. I'm like, wait, where's it gone? But yeah, it's.
I'd love to know your trick. That would be great. You're listening to A Couple of Drips. Why? Why would you do that? Are you okay? Oh well, you're here now, as you were. So, Christmas is kind of off the cards this year. The New Year's celebrations are going to be very muted this year. What would you normally do for New Year's, Steve?
I actually usually like to get away for New Year. I've been to Sydney on New Year's Eve, been to Hong Kong on New Year's Eve. A couple of years ago, I was in Madeira for New Year's Eve. Now,
nice.
Madeira is I'd probably say is on par with Sydney for fireworks.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it would, your little Portuguese island off the African coast. But their fireworks.
I'd heard they were good. I'd heard they were good for cake.
Oh, yeah. Madeira cake. Is it the most expensive cake?
That's getting a lot of use this episode, I have to say. I should have put the badum tish on the desk, but I haven't.
I must admit, okay, for those who don't know me, I am quite slow when it comes to jokes. One of my school nicknames was Trigger, and I got that from, we went on a school trip to France, and our bus driver looked like Rufus from Bill and Ted's Amazing Adventures.
Oh yes, yeah.
Rufus guy. And all the way through it, they were calling this guy Rufus. And on the final day, I turned around and I goes, "Oh my God, he looks just like Rufus from Bill and Ted." And then from there, they called me Trigger. Right? But the thing is, I didn't realise why they were calling me Trigger because I didn't know who Trigger was. So it was almost like it was, So that's why my nickname was throughout school was Trig.
Oh dear.
For that very reason. Not something I should be proud of, really, is it?
No, I wouldn't. Back to New Year. What are you going to do this year? Probably
just stay at home, what everyone else is doing.
Jules' hootenanny.
But that said, though, I live in Liverpool. Now, Liverpool sounds like a war zone. Any time the Liverpudlians, when there's time to celebrate, the rockets go up.
They know how to do it.
Oh, they do. You know,
They don't mess about.
no, well, this is it. I was driving through the Liverpool streets on bonfire night, and there was a fireworks shop, and they were queuing around the block, and the police had shut this shop, charged them £10,000 fine.
Yeah.
An hour later, they reopened. They
Yeah,
were that
because
busy.
it's worth
They
it
was
to
worth
pay
it.
the
You know, they
fine,
just
yeah.
paid the
Yeah,
10 grand.
yeah.
There you go. Have
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
but you know, we're not talking the ones you get from bloody Tesco. These are like nuclear bombs going off. It's so honestly, you think to
The
yourself,
Jack in the Box.
yeah, these things are massive. They're on par with the stuff you see at Alton Towers, and this is going on in your back garden. But yeah, it's.
I remember years ago, my granddad bought this. My granddad always used to do a fantastic firework display in his back garden, and he bought this thing that was about 50 quid once, this one big firework. And it went on for like 15 minutes, this firework. It was incredible. So you can get some amazing stuff, but it's so much cheaper to go to an organised display, isn't
you
it?
can't, can you? They're all
No, they
cancelled.
can't, because
They're
there
all
aren't any this year,
cancelled.
so that's purely...
But you could just watch it from your back garden because everyone else is buying them.
Yeah,
you know, so.
we'll just have to sit in and stream TV and stuff, I suppose. So
that's it.
So,
Watch the firework displays that aren't going off. Well, because it's going to be interesting this year. Because you think about it, have the big display. I don't think London's running, is it? So it makes. I'm probably. I've hazard a guess that Sydney isn't going to happen.
I don't think any of them can. They can't legitimately, because you can't.
Oh, in America they
you
will.
Can't
New
control,
York will still be dropping that bell.
You can't control people social distancing and that in those public spaces. We'll all just have to stay in and sit the kids in front of Nickelodeon, I suppose.
Well, this is it, Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I guess it's. I don't know. I guess that's what it's going to boil down to. I mean, I've got no real plans. It's not something, New Year's Eve, like I say, I like to get away, so it's not something I really, I don't like spending it in the UK.
I've always thought New Year's Eve for me was, I know some people are really into it. I've always thought it was a massive anticlimax. I've tried to go out and I've done various things. Kelly and me went to, the first year we were together, we went to the local pub, and it was the first time we'd done it in ages because I never did anything for New Year. And we got to we sat and we had a dance and we had a drink, and then at midnight we looked at each other and went, should we go make a cuppa? And we went home and had a cuppa. And then the last couple of years have been really nice because we've been to Tony and Maggie's on New Year's Eve, and we've Maggie's cooked, fantastic cook. Maggie's cooked and baked and stuff, and then we've played like little card games, like we played Trivial Pursuit the first year, but Kelly nailed everyone, so we said we'd never do that again. Yeah. So then we bought a University Challenge game last year, and Kelly nailed everyone. So I think games are going to be off the cards.
Well, maybe but trivia games are off the cards. Maybe you need something like
but I don't think
Monopoly.
We can Scrabble or something. Yeah, bananagrams. Yeah, but But I don't think that can happen this year. It depends because we don't know until 16th of December exactly what's going to happen with whether the tier is going to go up or down. So, it's very difficult to plan.
They're supposed to be loosening up lockdown, aren't they?
They're loosening it up for 5 days over Christmas, aren't they? But then we're back into the tier thing.
Idea. It's one of those. Like I say,
I don't think it does seem like a good idea because I think.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Sorry.
If
it didn't come
apologise. I missed the sarcasm there.
No, I just think it's like we've gone 9 months.
Just a future warning there, Stu. Your sarcasm and seriousness very close to each other. You might want to work on the facial expressions there with that one.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You could drop yourself in something there. Quite.
No, I think we've been through 9 months of pretty much hell. Let's face it. I suddenly realise how the dog feels. Because it's like you think the dog. You open the door, the dog goes boom, gone. You kind of like a wrestle between the door. And the trouble is, the way you shop has changed. So frigging doors, it's like I feel like a knocking shop. You know what I mean? It's like people must think, what's going on there? Because we must have about 3 or 4 parcels. Obviously we've got kids to buy for. And
sure.
And everything we've done this year is online. Amazon, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
all the local traders have suffered, but Amazon have done very well.
They have done
well.
At
least they pay their taxes.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think it's I don't know. I don't get, because I guess it's to go. I just don't understand the logic behind it. I really don't. I don't like talking politics, because everyone has different political views, and some people listen to this might go, "Well, I haven't seen such and such anybody," and all this. It's like, well, this whole like I said earlier, Christmas is cancelled. Christmas isn't cancelled. Christmas is what you make of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for me, it's about the people you're with.
Absolutely.
It's about the people you're with. It's about the people you share your time with, the people you share your food with. Now, a lot of people go, "Well, that's why we want to see everyone." Well, there's no reason why that can't be smaller.
Unfortunately, the consequence of that is there is going to be a huge spike in January.
Indeed.
Of infections.
It is. And the trouble is, it's probably going to affect the most vulnerable, And the thing, as daft as it is, we all know the warnings. We've been listening to the government bang their gums every day, what's their current face, hands, arse, or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I must admit, I was watching the news for months and months and months. And then quite recently, I'm like, I just watch Pointless and then turn off.
Did you see the recent one with Matt Hancock where he broke down in tears on Piers Morgan? If you ever watch a politician trying to act, that is what we saw there.
Okay.
It's like he broke down, but the thing is, it's like, God bless if anybody ever said, he had to break the news that, fucking Rover's just died, to his son or something. Because honestly, it was the most... it was just painful to watch. It was actually... I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to talk about politics in the sense, but I just think, any politician, anybody in that power, anybody who was in that job, they're going to face scrutiny, regardless of who it was, and they've probably had the toughest job of the year. But the thing is, you think to yourself, well, when you're handing out contracts to your neighbour and when you're doing certain things to benefit your own back pocket, I mean, you think about it, with this pandemic, it's like... It's funny, isn't it, how this oven-baked Brexit deal is suddenly now just come out the freezer, isn't it? All of a sudden we're heading towards a no-deal Brexit.
The PPE supplying wasn't one of the contractors just kind of a general distributor, wasn't a specialist in distributing PPE, but went, I can get you some PPE, and got the contract. Well, and it's like, that wouldn't work in any other part of industry. It's like, well, you can run a ferry firm. Have you run a ferry firm before? No, but we will do. Do you have any ferries? No, we haven't got any ferries, Mr. Grayling, but don't worry about that. We'll have the contract. That if anyone else did that in industry, they'd be out of their ear.
It's just daft, isn't it? I mean, it's like with the PPE. I mean, being a geek, and I make a lot of cosplay stuff. I've got a 3D printer.
Yeah.
So what I've actually done with my 3D printers, I donated it to a friend of mine who had a line of about 6 or 7 3D printers, and for the best parts of about 2 months, him and his partner, because they were I don't know whether they were furloughed or something.
You're not making dildos again, are you?
No. He was making PPE for the NHS.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh yeah. So him and his partner, but they needed 3D printers. So I've donated my. I've still got to get it back off him. I donated my 3D printer, and he did a load of work to it because the best thing about 3D printers is you get to print their own parts to make them better.
My dad's done that. He's printed like extra fan attachments and stuff for it. Yeah, brilliant.
Honestly, and we were distributing PPE all across the country. I've distributed PPE to Brighton, to Southampton, locally, obviously around the local area.
Brilliant.
And so it was. And those machines, they were literally churning off these bands, the little plastic headbands. And then his partner was cutting out the shields out of acetone and stuff. Yeah. But it was just absolutely fantastic. And the thing is the frontline staff that were the most vulnerable at the time. Yeah. Were basically, they were so grateful. And
so you're making the big plastic visors, are you?
Yeah, they were just like a plastic headband that goes across the front of the head, and it was just the acetone that you see on the projectors from school. Yes, it was just basically that was the screen. So it was proper makeshift, but then you needed to churn these out. Yeah, and you think to yourself, how is it that you've got a team of makers all across the country able to just start knocking this stuff out? Yeah. You've got government
giving some strange contract to someone who's never worked in that area.
But this is it. And I just think, and the daftest thing is, for me, is how much warning do we need about pandemics? Every other year, there's a serious potential outbreak for a pandemic. And we've been fortunate enough never to see it. But obviously this time round, it's coming bits on the arse. And I hope, if nothing else, lessons are learnt.
Yeah, definitely.
I think everyone's learnt the lesson. And I think, we should just keep learning lessons. But yeah, the governments have certainly, I can't criticise them too much because they've had a tough job on their hands, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you see Boris turn grey by the day, but it can't be that bad when he has to go and quarantine in Chequers. You know, what is that, like a £3 million house in the middle of the countryside?
Yeah,
whatever,
absolutely.
You know, boo-hoo Boris, you know.
Yeah.
Screw you, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I do feel what I feel for is the local MPs who are literally they're for me the MPs that perhaps taken the brunt of a lot of this, but yeah, it was. But at least I suppose if there's one saving grace, we haven't got some orange-faced clown running the country. We just got a blonde.
This is true.
Clown
I mean, if
instead.
only like he could get voted off in the next election. Oh, hang on. Yeah. So, from the heavy stuff of kind of lockdown and how Christmas is being altered, I have to ask you, what's your favourite Christmas song, Stu?
Oh, couldn't you have asked me what my favourite Christmas movie was instead?
Well, we'll move on to that in a minute.
Christmas song.
Well, do the movie first, then, if you...
Oh, my favourite movie, without a shadow of a doubt, is Polar Express.
Oh, that's a great film.
That is
The
by
2D
far.
version or the 3D version? Because I didn't like it when they remastered it to 3D.
You know,
I thought-
I couldn't say I've seen the 3D
I went to see it at
version.
the IMAX, and it didn't really work because they'd done it in post. They hadn't designed it like
Right.
that. It wasn't as good.
You'd think they'd be able to with it being an animated movie, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
it was just, it looked like an afterthought. It didn't look like... Yeah, I can definitely tell if a film is shot in 3D or if a film has been converted to 3D.
Yeah. No, I just think it's full of Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that film.
It's a great film.
And yeah, and you think, I mean, obviously the animation now is quite dated, but
Yeah.
I just think the story.
The
about
motion
it-
capture on that as well was groundbreaking at the time with Tom Hanks, you know, so...
Oh, I mean, it's like that. I love the hot
Hot chocolate.
hot
We got
chocolate.
it.
Yeah, I absolutely
Brilliant.
love
Yeah,
it.
it's a
But,
great film.
but it's so emotional and like you
Yeah.
know, you've got this child who's obviously doesn't
On the
believe in-
cusp of not believing.
Well, he's on
yeah.
the cusp of not believing because he doesn't feel. Because obviously, if you actually look at it, this child obviously has potentially. Because you always think, you go on Facebook and you see all these people with like mountains of presents, but then you got to think about the kids that potentially don't have anything, and and he comes across like one of those children who potentially hasn't had much at Christmas before, so never
Yeah.
really had that Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is by far my favourite Christmas movie. Then it's got to be followed by Elf. Everyone's got to love Elf.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Fantastic movie.
Muppet Christmas Carol is my favourite Christmas film. I love that. I have to watch it every year without
Tearjerker,
fail.
that is, though, isn't it?
It is. Have you heard? Exciting times. They a scene that was cut of Belle singing to Scrooge. The love. They lost that scene for years and years. The scene was on the initial VHS video release,
Right.
but they took it out for the cinematic release. It was only on the VHS. Then they lost the master print for years and years, and recently they met up with I think it's Brian Henson, and it is Brian Henson, and they were showing him the restored one, and he went, "You haven't," and they went, we found it, and they finally found it. And all the DVD releases, it's never had that song in, and it's finally going to be put back in the film and get a release.
It's
with
so sad,
the
though,
back
isn't
in
it?
the It is
Oh,
sad.
Tiny Tim,
but
he just wants. You just
once
want
you know
snap
that
him
song
up.
was originally in, and you see the edit, it seems wrong without it.
Oh right.
Because when you've watched the film with that song cut out, you can spot the edit every time because you're used to it being in. And so to finally have that song put back in.
I love that. I mean, I think it's a cracking film, isn't it?
It is
I mean, it's a
beautiful.
classic tale. and
It's
been
one of
done
the
so many
best
times.
versions of Christmas Carol. And when they were making it, I remember when they were making it, and I was seeing Michael Caine in it, and I thought, I don't think that's going
Of
to work.
course, yeah, he plays Scrooge, doesn't he?
I thought it's not going to work, and he's absolutely brilliant in it. It's superb. I still want his dressing gown.
Yeah, I think Michael Caine, he's a phenomenal actor. isn't he?
Brilliant. Absolutely
phenomenal.
brilliant.
Like in The Kingsman, you just think to yourself, oh yeah. I'm trying to think, what film did I watch with him in recently? And he was really good. You know what? It'll come back to me, but he's just been in so many good films, But yeah, but in terms of favourite song,
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I said the other week I got the title wrong on the episode with Jamie. I said it was called "Wish It Was at Home for Christmas," but it's called "Stop the Cavalry" by Jonah Louie. But I've since thought that there are other ones that I like as well, and I've since considered I really like Krista Berg's A Spaceman Came Travelling.
Oh, yeah. That's
But
a
then I
great
like
one.
Chris Rea's Driving Home for Christmas. I always want to say the Brian Pern take
Did
off.
you know that there's Carfeld at MO2 this year?
Did it really? Are you familiar with Brian Pern?
No.
Brian Pern is Simon Day from White House and Co. and all
Okay,
those
yes.
kind of thing. It's a parody series he did on the BBC with a prog rock band called Thought. It's basically like a Spinal Tap that they did on the BBC.
Yes.
It was brilliant, and he's basically being Peter Gabriel in it. And he does this one where it's Christmas in my car, I'm gonna have Christmas, and it's a takeoff of the I've got the Brian Pern Christmas album actually, and that's a fantastic parody of the Chris Rea. But yeah, I'm torn because I love the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl. The
Did
Fairy
you hear
Tale
they
in New
remastered
York.
that? They re-edited that this year because of it not being PC.
Yeah, it's not like they've taken it out now. Kirsty MacColl actually recorded 2 versions of it.
Right, okay. Then
In case the term was seen as offensive. So even at the time, she was aware that it could be. So the version that you hear, it's not like co-processed or
massively
anything.
different, is it?
She
They just-
actually recorded a radio-friendly version in
Yeah.
case they wouldn't play it. So that was a wonderful bit of hindsight on behalf of the record makers at the time. Did we reach a conclusion then as to what your favourite Christmas song was?
I have actually reached a conclusion. It's probably Elton John. You know, I don't know what the name is. I think it's Elton John. I'm not going to try and sing. Do not make me try and sing. It starts off with like, it goes, oh, I can't think what it goes like now.
Christmas,
Christmas, that's the one.
Yeah.
Ever and ever. I just
Yeah.
think I like my Christmas songs upbeat, and every time I hear that, it's one of the ones I always pile up. You know,
I must admit, I don't know that one terribly well. I obviously knew it well enough to hum it, but I
Yeah.
don't know it terribly well. So-
I think that's probably my favourite. It's one of those. I don't really have a favourite Christmas song because I've introduced Amazon Alexa into my vehicle. So now, when I go onto Facebook, it knows everything. You know what I mean? It knows what I want to buy. It's madness.
Brilliant.
But the good thing about that is we can have like all the because I haven't got Bluetooth on my car, so I've had to connect it with this Amazon Alexa. But it's great because I can just when we're doing the school in the morning, we have all the Christmas songs and the kids.
Oh,
love
lovely.
It just gets us into the Christmas spirit. But yeah,
Brilliant.
But when that comes on, whack it up.
Because you like old music as well, don't you? And you like music gear and stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit of I love my 80s retro. It's getting worse. I think it's like a disease. It's like the whole kind of synth wave. Obviously, I make synth wave music. I absolutely love it. Like, you know, I read Ready Player One, the film. I love it. There's just that whole nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know, I just love it. Like Stranger Things for me. You know,
You love the whole 8-bit video game scene and
precisely.
yeah,
Yeah. Everything to do with the 80s. Even though I lived through it as a kid, I wish I'd lived through it as a teenager.
yeah.
I really do wish I'd lived through the 80s as a teenager. Because, when you watch the films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and, Breakfast Club and things like that, and you just think to yourself, what it must have been like to be in the 80s as a teenager. Because I was born in 82.
Right.
So obviously by the time the 80s had finished, I'd have been 8. So I just remember the 80s. Like, I think one of the key songs I always remember from the 80s from when I was a kid was Spirit in the Sky.
Doctor and the Medics.
My dad used to always play it in the car, you know. And so that's always one of the fondest memories of the 80s. But I don't know, it's just like I always remember we used to watch Gremlins at Christmas. And my favourite movie as a kid was Santa Claus the movie. You know, it was such I can't even remember what happened in it because that was the last time I watched it was when I was a kid. But I just remember how it made me feel. You know, that's sometimes all you
That's
need
what
from
I
a
love.
memory.
I love that Christmas feeling. That I have to watch Christmas movies from 1st of December onwards to get myself into that kind of Christmas mood.
Yeah,
you know.
Christmas hasn't officially started until what's his name? Falls off the building at Nakatomi Plaza.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Rickman,
yes.
Die Hard, yeah.
Oh, you know, what a classic Christmas movie. Brilliant.
A Christmas movie that isn't a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
That is a Christmas movie.
Yep.
But if you ask Bruce Willis, he says it's not a Christmas movie, but it clearly is a Christmas movie.
Clearly is.
I like those Christmas movies that aren't Christmas movies. Lethal Weapon as well.
How's that a
Fantastic.
Christmas movie?
All the Lethal Weapon films are based at Christmas.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So it's an unofficial Christmas movie.
Oh. There's a lot of movies that are like set at Christmas time that you don't realise.
St Elmo's Fire.
What?
St Elmo's Fire.
I've heard of it.
Oh, I tell you what, if you like The Breakfast Club, you've got to watch St Elmo's Fire.
Really?
It's the same cast. It was made a couple of years later. Oh, right, that's a classic Christmas movie that isn't a Christmas
I'll be
movie.
honest with you. I love my movies, but I've got a lot of movies I've not watched.
Yeah, no, that Trading Places as well. That's a kind of Christmas movie that isn't a
I've
Christmas
got that.
movie.
I've got that, yeah, I think I've got that.
No, you should watch St Elmo's Fire if you like. Like the Brat Pack.
You know what? Netflix at the moment, the holiday movies that made us.
Oh, nice.
You know the whole That Made Us series.
Yeah.
I love those series. I just think they're so well edited.
Yes,
they're just a joy to watch.
We watched The Great Escape on Saturday, which I know is not an official Christmas movie, but when I was a kid, they used to show The Great Escape at Christmas. They used to alternate. It was either The Great Escape or The Sound of Music every Christmas day on BBC One. And Kelly'd never seen it, so we sat and watched The Great Escape. But she's never seen Die Hard either.
What?
I know.
Mind you, I can't say nothing. I've never seen Rocky.
Well, really?
Yes, really.
Well, Chris was talking about Rocky on the last episode. And
I've also never seen The Shining either.
Oh no, Chris was talking about how good Rocky is on the last episode.
Oh, right.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've never. I know obviously all the key scenes and everything, and Adrian and all that malarkey, but I've never seen it. It's one of those. It's one of those films I must see. It's like with The Shining as well. I've got a few films that people go, "What? You've never seen that?" But I think everyone's guilty of at least having one of those films where someone can turn around and go, "What? You've never seen that?"
No, like I've never seen Citizen Kane or Casablanca all the way through, and things like that. And I feel like I should, but yeah, you should definitely check out St Elmo's Fire.
I should definitely. I'll add it to my list. But seriously, watch that holiday movies that made us. There's only 2 episodes. It talks about the first one is about Elf, and it's interesting because that was Jon Favreau's first kind of like hit movie. And I never realised. I didn't even realise he directed it. And I didn't even realise it was one of the films that actually shot Will Ferrell into the stratosphere. It's fascinating to see how that, you look at all those people that were in Elf and how they've gone on to bigger and better things, and it's like that.
Well, Stu, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Where can people find you on social media and Coco Digital and stuff? We'll obviously put a link in the thing, but
just search for Coco Digital or go to www.cocodigital.co.uk, and then on there you'll see a load of games. But have a look at the Pokemon games that we've made. The games are only live till the end of January, so
fantastic,
limited run.
I think we've got enough notes to do another episode with you in the new year at some point. So I hope you'll come back and join us at some point. But in the meantime, I've been Chris Granger.
I've been Stuart Howarth,
and it's been great. Thanks a lot, Stu.
Thank you for inviting
everyone
me.
Listening. Have a fantastic Christmas and a happy New Year. And please, whatever you do, stay safe, protect the NHS, and protect the elderly. And I will see you. We'll be back in the new year. Take care.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to A Couple of Drips. The show was conceived and presented by Chris Granger and is a Cup the Mic production.